You ever notice how in the US, people are living in four-bedroom homes with a pool for the same price as a two-bedroom condo in Toronto? And here's the kicker. They're actually making the same income or even more after currency conversion. Meanwhile, in Canada, the average home will cost you 12 times your annual income. That is unbelievable. So no, it's not your budgeting, it's not the coffee, it's our policies. We've gone off the rails completely. And today we're going to break it all down, like how Canadian home prices jumped 142% since 2005, while the US only saw a 26% increase. You'll understand why this isn't just a housing issue, it's an economic issue. Let's start with this. The average home in Canada, which I'm sure you've all heard before, especially if you're following this channel, is about 718,000 nationally. In the GTA, it's much higher, just over 1 million. So let me rephrase that for you all. You owe 12 times more than you earn. That's not just a debt load, that's a debt party. And if you're buying for the first time, it probably feels overwhelming. And believe me, I completely understand. Let's put this into real numbers. If you're in Toronto and you're trying to buy a home at just over 1 million, with today's interest rates at around 3.99% on a standard 25-year mortgage, your monthly mortgage payment would be about $5,750. Ontario's average pre-tax household income is around 116,000, estimated in the 2023 consensus. So let's use this example. That mortgage alone eats up 59.5% of your household gross monthly income. That's before property tax, before maintenance, before heat, hydro, or groceries. That's a financial chokehold. Now let's zoom out and compare it to the US. The average home price is around 450,000, give or take. Incomes almost identical or slightly higher, but the housing costs way lower. Let me show you what you can buy for 500,000. Guys, check out Texas. Look at this house, $500,000. Look how big it is, and you get three-car garage. North Carolina doesn't seem to disappoint either at 500,000, and I believe this one here is sitting on zero point 0.3 of an acre. Toronto, this is the only detached I found at the time of recording, and it's $599. I don't know if you can see it amongst the trees, but there is a house there too. Now let's look at Vancouver. Vancouver, I couldn't even find a detached in the 500,000 price range, but I could find a small little condo for 559. I'm sure if I look in the rest of the provinces, I can find something in the price range nice, but this is just to show you how insane our prices are in these two provinces. So what does this all mean? Americans are spending closer to 30 to 35% of their income on housing. In Canada, we're over 50%. And in some cities, believe it or not, it's over 70%. We're the outlier. We're the ones who normalize housing insanity. Let's take a look at this chart from OECD. It shows home price versus disposable income. In the US, prices and incomes moved in sync, but Canada, homes just kept skyrocketing while income stayed basically flat. It's like we've been running uphill on roller skates. If that's not a visual eye opener, I don't know what is. And here's the kicker. Even though interest rates have stabilized a bit, affordability hasn't magically returned. Why? Because prices haven't come down enough. And incomes, they sure as hell haven't caught up. Now, I know someone out there is going to say, but rates, they're going to come down and soon prices will go back up. Sure. And maybe unicorns will be flying over my house tomorrow. Because here's the truth. If rates come down while prices stay high, it doesn't make homes more affordable. Inflation that will continue to rage, the exact same house will now attract 10 more buyers, same inventory, more competition, and boom, we're right back where we started. Now let's go back in time for a second here. Since 2005, prices in Canada have increased by 142%. In the US, just 26%. Why? Because they had a crash and we didn't. You know, when some experts say a crash is healthy, it's painful in the short, but they say it's better in the long term? Well, the US reset. They went through pain, no doubt, but they cleared out the excess. Meanwhile, Canada just kept borrowing, building with cheap credit, immigration growth, and a government that treated housing like a golden goose. And every new policy just added more fuel to the fire. We never had a real correction. A small pause, perhaps, yes, in 2008 and 2017. Then we went bonkers. Now we're in this weird limbo where the average family can't even afford an average house, where buying means maxing out your income and praying inflation doesn't eat you alive, and where politicians keep shouting supply, 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 while zoning delays, red tape, and greenbelt drama slow everything to a crawl. And it doesn't stop at buying. Affordability is about renting too. As home prices go up, so does rent. And renters, who are usually trying to save up for a down payment, end up spending more, saving less, and falling further behind. It's a vicious cycle. And we haven't even touched who's buying. Is it young families or investors scooping up 3 or 4 properties to park their cash? Foreign ownership bans are great and all, but in theory, enforcement, please, the loopholes are wide enough to drive a cement truck through them. But the real elephant in the room, incomes. The average family in this country makes just over $100,000. And homes cost over $700,000 nationally. You can't budget your way to home ownership if 60% of your income is going towards rent. It's mathematically impossible unless you get an injection of money from perhaps Bank of Mom and Dad, and maybe you're super lucky to win the lottery. Now, this isn't an uphill battle for those that bought before the hysteria. But think to yourself, without the equity of your home, what are you really left with? You know what I see a lot today? Young couples moving back to their parents' house, living in the basement, because saving a down payment is impossible otherwise. And let me be real, there is a real movement to build multi-generational homes. I tell you, when I have a house with a functional accessory unit, it flies off the shelf. And then there are seniors who paid into the system, worked their butts off, and they don't even have enough to retire on because all their equity is locked into their home. And their pension won't support their daily cost of living. This is real. I went to the bank the other day and I overheard a very loud conversation with an elderly couple talking to the bank teller. They needed a line of credit to keep up with the bills. That literally struck a chord with me. They should be in the years that they're financially stable and comfortable, not going to the bank begging for a loan. Then for young families, you have them taking out 35-year amortization and praying that nothing breaks in the middle of the winter. So what can you do? You get smart, you get strategic, you run the numbers, and you talk to someone who actually cares and understands what's happening right now in this market. Not someone who's just trying to say buy now, because we all know, we know too many people like this. Let's face it, people still have to make a move. Whether it's expanding because the family grew, relocation for a job, or a life event that caused accessibility issues. You don't panic buy, but you don't sit on the sidelines and pray for a miracle. Because even in an environment like this, there are cracks, little windows of opportunity, especially outside the big cities. I've actually talked about this in a prior video and I will post that link below. Meanwhile, I drive around and see 10 listings on one street. No joke. It's like they all got together over a coffee and said, let's sell. And believe me, when I tell you this, you can sniff out the desperation. There are always ways in. Maybe it's finding an undervalued neighborhood. Maybe it's co-buying with family. Or maybe it's renting while strategically investing elsewhere. I've been hearing a lot of this lately. My overall point is this: there are always ways in. Don't get discouraged. And it all starts with awareness. It starts with knowing the truth, and it starts with videos like this. If you made it this far, thank you so much. See you in the next one.